Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Rabbit, and this is a knife produced by Custom Knife Factory, and the designer is Alexy Konygin. So we'll do the specs, overall impressions, and then we will get into the specifics as far as I see it with the knife. So, all right, it does ship with, of course, their usual Custom Knife Factory. They did start writing in pen the serial number. I think that should be an R for Rabbit, not a P, but doesn't matter. A little terry cloth, certificate, so on and so forth, usual stuff. But it's a nice presentation nonetheless. So, all right, spec-wise, overall, basically what we're looking at here is a titanium frame lock flipper. You do have a single row ceramic bearing system and a ceramic detent, I believe. S35 blade steel, and then a light bronze anodized handle with some cool custom hardware on the pivot, and then something of a bent 3D clip, some kind of hybrid there. So, all right, the specs, overall length is about 9.3 inches, so this is a fairly large, very capable knife. Blade length is over 4 inches depending on where you measure from, but it's safe to say it's over 4. Blade steel is S35 VN. It is stone washed, and it does have a flat grind with a drop point blade. So the weight is about 4.95 ounces on my scale. The handle length is about 5.35 inches, and then the handle thickness in this direction is about 0.517 inches. So, long, slender, just a really nice overall package. It is right-handed tip-up carry only, so that's the only way you can carry it. And yeah, so those are the specs for the most part. Overall impressions, it's a really, really nice knife. I think aesthetically, it's very unique. It's very attractive. It's just a little bit outside of the norm, but not so far to make it odd. So, I really like this knife for the first moment that I saw it. Price-wise, it is up there, but I think it's just a really cool overall knife. And yeah, again, I bought it, so obviously I liked it enough to pick it up. The only disappointing facet of the knife was the edge. It came just barely above dull, so that was a little disappointing, but at least that's something that I can service, and there weren't any problems with the action or the detent. Everything else on the knife is absolutely flawless, so just a really nice package. But I suppose that's it for the overall impressions. Let's get into the specifics then. So as I mentioned, S35 blade steel with a flat grind, perfect blade shape and grind for a nice EDC knife. The size at over a 4-inch blade, it's not going to be for everyone, but for those of you who do want a knife that is kind of full-size capable without being a behemoth in the pocket, in terms of thickness, width, or weight, then I think this is certainly a great option. But you do have a drop point blade with a very proud swedge along the top. It's very attractive. It's very unique. I like how you have this drop in here onto the blade, and then the swedge begins from that point. So huge amount of belly. Again, great for cutting tasks, aside from the fact that the blade came dull. But it is what it is. Markings have been kept to a bare minimum, just with the Custom Knife Factory logo this time. So again, that's nice. Doesn't detract from the really interesting design here at all. But anyhow, I suppose that's it for the blade. Let's move on to the pivot. So you have this very interesting, unique pivot. I believe it's found on the asymmetrical model as well. It's nice. I certainly appreciate custom pivots. I don't know how difficult this is going to be to service. I suppose I'd have to find a flathead screwdriver that would fit into one of those slots. And then if it's Loctited, that would make it somewhat difficult as well. So, luckily there's no blade play. It's really stout, so assuming that they did Loctite it, hopefully I won't ever need to take it apart and I won't have to worry about the unique pivot and the way to get it in there. Going back to the blade real quick, I can clamp this in on my wicket edge, so this, even though there's that swedge on top, I was able to clamp it in. So for those of you wondering how serviceable it is going to be to sharpen the blade on a clamp system, I didn't have a problem. So, but I do use the painter's tape so it doesn't scratch up the blade, and maybe that gives it some extra grip as well, but I'm sure most of you already do that. All right, so pivot, really unique, really cool. Oh, there is one other marking, just the S35VM blade steel. Now we come to the handle. Again, slender, long, fairly ergonomic. With the way that there's a small, with the way that it comes up here, it comes to this small kind of ramp with some jimping on it, and that actually works well. I find another interesting way to hold it is to kind of let my hand or my thumb drop into that dip on the blade. And that's a very comfortable position for me as well. I feel like I have a tremendous amount of control right there, so I do like that, that facet of it. Kind of has something of a choil up front that I suppose you could come up on carefully so you can get in even closer if you need to. But anyways, the milling marks here are really cool. Kind of reminds me of some of Gavco's work a little bit, and I'm a big fan of his work, so I like the milling marks, the way that they're milled in, and that provides comfort, because as you can see, that kind of chamfers the overall handle, and then obviously visual appeal, a little bit of texture as well, but just nice, clean aesthetic. The color, the bronze color, it's very subtle, but it's kind of there, and it is nice enough that you don't really need to re-anodize it. Some of the colors can get really cool, but I think they get old after a while, like some of the really vibrant like blues or other things. But again, this one's nice and clean, kind of a no-nonsense color approach. So, other side of the handle, nice cutout. It's not completely straight. It has some body to it. The lock bar cutout's nice and clean in there as well. Does have a stainless steel lock insert, which is always a plus with these titanium frame locks. And then all the hardware is silver, which is cool because it ties in well with the pivot and the blade. So, nice execution. Pocket clip. Pocket clip's a little weird. I mean, it's you can see it starts out as a 3D machine clip, and then it kind of goes into a spring clip of sorts. It works well, but at a quick glance you would just assume that it's a spring clip when it's kind of a hybrid in between. But it works well, goes in and out of the pocket, has just enough gap to go into jeans and so forth. And then there is a really small lanyard hole. I do like how it is integrated into the frame a little bit here, so it doesn't really distract from the overall design and aesthetics. So anyhow, blade to handle ratio, actually that's excellent. It comes pretty much all the way up to the edge. If you stick the fat of your finger in there, you can catch the tip just a tiny bit, but you really got to be jamming that fat in there. So really good handle to blade ratio. Action is tremendous, and this thing is stupid smooth. You want to make sure when you disengage it, you put your thumb there to catch the bottom of the flipper tab, so you can then move it out of the way and let it fall, because if you have it too far down, that thing might drop on you. So but I really like the action. I think it's tremendously smooth. And the flipper tab has a tiny run of jimping on top, so you grab onto it quite well. But yeah. And then one other nice thing is you can see they did a cutout here so you can get to the lock bar, and then they chamfered the inside of the lock bar, so it's really easy to get to, really easy to disengage. So this knife is pretty fun to fidget with if you're a fidgeter. So anyhow, I guess let's talk about kind of where this falls. So Alexy Konygin is I believe the Decepticon designer. So you have the Decepticon 1, 2, and this could potentially count for the third, but it's obviously the most streamlined and the most affordable of the bunch. So value-wise, this thing's coming in at $480. And I've kind of set an arbitrary rule that I don't really want to pick up production knives that are over 400. And I do count this as a production. I know that they do classify it as a mid-tech because part of the work's done in China, part's done in Russia. But you know, there's nothing that makes this unique from the rest of the lineup. So I would count this one as a production knife, essentially. So, you know, my arbitrary $400 rule kind of applied, so I wasn't going to pick it up. But if you are subscribed to the Custom Knife Factory newsletter, he did send out a very nice discount code at one point after he did a giveaway, and so that brought it down to under 400. And so at that point, I decided to pick one up. So they're going for about 480 right now. And so I would definitely recommend you should subscribe to the newsletter if you do like these knives. There might be future discount codes coming out. But, you know, as far as 480 goes, you know, it's a titanium frame lock with S35 VN and stainless steel lock insert. I think there's a lot of competition when you look at it from just the material standpoint. But it does gain, I think, extra value in terms of the design, in terms of the uniqueness. Again, I was really drawn to the aesthetics, and then the function, the fit, everything is superb aside from the somewhat dull edge. So, you know, it's I suppose that's up to you as far as, you know, whether or not you're going to buy it at the 480. The alternatives might be the Decepticon 1 and 2, which are way more expensive. So perhaps this is the best value for you. But anyhow. One thing that Custom Knife Factory has said, at least on Instagram, is that there have been a few knockoffs of their knives coming from China, coincidentally. And so what they want to do is they want to move more into the kind of the customized production knives. So kind of more of what I consider a mid-tech. And they do offer those from time to time on their website, ones that have been modified in-house that are a little different from the rest. And I think they're going to move towards that a little bit more, if I was understanding Mike from Russia with Knives correctly. So, you know, that'll be interesting. Some of the modified rabbits have been very attractive, as well as the morphs, the asymmetrics, the Decepticons. They do some really cool work. So anyways, that might be the direction they're moving in the future. But yeah, really cool offering, really unique knife, really attractive, really smooth. It actually reminds me quite a bit of the Benchmade, what is this, the 940-1. You know, what it does is it takes a big knife and it puts it into a very small usable package. So if you look at these two, they kind of have some similarities. You know, they're thin, they're long, good sized blade, very capable in the hand. There is a shot kind of size-wise of what you can expect. So, I mean, obviously the Rabbit is much, much larger. But again, I think if you're someone who likes the 940-1 and maybe you're looking for something a little bit bigger, I think this knife has it. And even though this is, you know, long and lean, it's not overly heavy. And I do like the way it has a feel of solidarity and quality to it. So they didn't make it too light, which I appreciate. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on the knife. I need to kind of reprofile it a little bit more on the wicked edge, but after that it should be absolutely perfect. And you know, I'm pretty happy with this purchase. So I'll look forward to more of their offerings. Hopefully they continue to bring more in kind of under that $400 mark. I think that would be the sweet spot for them. But yeah, if you have any comments or questions, as always, you know where to leave them. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.